Hello and welcome back to Compensation Uncovered, the series that lifts the lid on the world of personal injury claims. We're here to arm Australians with everything you need to know to make sure you get all the compensation you're fairly entitled to under the law. Compensation Uncovered is brought to you by our team here at Law Partners, and we are Australia's largest specialist personal injury firm. I'm your host, Piers Toomey, and it is a pleasure to be back here with you. So when it comes to the process of doctors being able to help the process of compensation for their patients, what does that process look like for them? And sort of how can Law Partners help, if anything, along the way in that journey?
Yeah, one thing I've found, Piers, is our clients often find it difficult to absorb the legal side of things. And they have very close relationships with their doctors, and they trust us to the extent that they're happy for us to speak to their doctors. So whilst we don't talk to the doctors in relation to treatment, that's a doctor thing, we don't get involved in that. Often the client will ask us to relay what's happening in the legal process to the doctor so that the doctor or the psychologist can then talk to the patient about it, understand the difficulties and the anxieties that they may be suffered, and really just help them process that legal information a bit further.
Yeah, that would be, I'm sure, a lot of help, Yeah. And is that your experience, Katie, as far as like once you've been on this process with helping doctors through that process, have it sort of enhanced your relationships with the medical community?
It certainly has, I think. I think it starts with informing the client. So we always make sure our clients understand what we're going to need from them, what the process is going to look like, so that they can have that conversation with their GP or their other treater, and making sure that we get the clinical records at the start to make sure that all of those injuries are listed on there. So we try and sort of resolve any little issues at the start so they don't become big issues. And it also long-term saves the GPs and other treaters on paperwork, which we know is difficult to manage treating a client and the paperwork. So we try and minimise that where we can.
Absolutely. And I imagine work with Law Partners is able to sort of accelerate the process, or if a client is working with or without a law firm, are they able to sort of get to an outcome a little bit quicker working with the doctor through the law firm as well?
Most definitely. The system is really difficult to navigate, and there's lots of additional benefits that if you don't know that they exist, you won't apply for them. There's also different ways to fast track claims, and if you're trying to do it alone or without any support, you're just simply not going to know which way to turn.
So once again, it pays to have a really good legal team on your side from the beginning as early as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And a legal team that doesn't just simply wear the technical legal hat, as I've said, a legal team who's willing to communicate with your doctors, communicate to your family members if needed, and just really be that advocate for you in the whole process.
Terrific. So it's so interesting to hear about the process between the doctor and the client when it comes to compensation. Obviously, there are benefits to both parties, to the doctor and to the client as well. I mean, can you think of any examples that you've come across in the last, 6 months or a year or so working with a client where this has played out for a positive outcome?
I think I've had a number of clients who wanted sort of alternative type of treatments, and the GP had seen before that they'd had other clients that had been able to access that funding, and it's going back to the GP and explaining what they need to explain to the TAC and how they need to go about the process to get the funding, to get the treatment. So for the GP, they get a client who gets their treatment, and then the client gets the benefit of getting treatment and hopefully improving their condition.
And that's happened a few times?
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Most definitely happens a lot.
And for yourself, Chantel?
Yeah, so my scenario is a bit different. So on the flip side of that, we often have our clients come and tell us, my GP just keeps telling me that this body part isn't part of the claim, for example. So I had somebody who hurt their knee, and because of it, they were limping and developed a sore back, and they kept going back to the GP saying, my back hurts, it's because of my limping. But the GP was very reluctant to add it because they were afraid of what, the TAC may say. So after about 6 months worth of this, I suggested to our client, well, maybe you should just change GPs and go to someone who'll actually listen to you, because first and foremost, this particular client needed the treatment. So they did that and ultimately were able to receive the treatment. So a lot of clients don't actually know they are allowed to change GPs if the GP doesn't listen.
So sometimes it's just as simple as like getting some advice, and making a simple change like that can make the world of difference to your actual outcomes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us here at Compensation Uncovered, brought to you by our team here at Law Partners. That actually wraps up our series on motor vehicle accident claims in the state of Victoria. If you've enjoyed what you've heard so far, do be sure to follow us on all of your favourite social media platforms and stay tuned for new episodes as they come out. Until then, goodbye for now.